In this lesson, you will learn how to create and maintain field tests using the DI wizard and data-driven templates. Field tests in Tosca DI are a quick way to create all sorts of tests that are specific to the data type and business logic on a large scale. Field tests are used when testing against a single database or database-to-database comparisons. When there is a need to test the business logic or text and value-based fields. For example, are my column values in the correct format or not, such as email addresses, product IDs, and dates. In our healthcare example, once we've tested these as a single source, such as pre-screening a file or field tests on a single database, we can then set up our database-to-database tests to ensure that our staging database matches the data warehouse after the move. Let's have a look at our field tests. If we navigate back to the DI templates, field tests, we can see there's a single database table and database to database. If we expand them, we can see they're categorized as general and business validation. In our examples, I've already set up some samples so we can have a look and see how we could do similar tests to what we did in pre-screening for the Medicare data based on the requirement specification provided. We can see some other examples here for general field tests and also for business logic validation. For now, we're going to run through the wizard and use the tests we created earlier to set up different tests from database to database using our SQL Server and Snowflake in our environment. As a reminder, let's have a quick look at our SQL Server database. We can see I've run my query and selected all the data from the healthcare associated infections, and we have 170,000 rows returned. The same query was run in Snowflake, and we only have 160,000. This means we will get some errors when we run our tests. Let's select my field level tests and start the wizard pointing database to database. I'll load up my Medicare data warehouse database, and we have all our information returned. I hit the next button, and now we're going to point to our Snowflake instance. You can see there's 133 columns, but in my instance, I've only uploaded my data to the public schema. Now we come to match files. I've already mapped them previously, so this is saved in the history. If I select all, clear my mapping, you'll see the auto mapping will not pick up anything as my table names differ, as do my field names. I can load up a mapping file created manually, or I can manually map the files by using drag and drop from source to target, double click into the source and target fields, and mapping the columns. Once you've mapped the columns, you can export this into a CSV or text file and then load it in the next time. I'm going to navigate to my mapping file created previously for SQL Server to Snowflake, and my 4 tables have been mapped. I hit the next button, and now I select my field level tests which relate to my templates. Here's my 4 tables. I'm going to focus on my associated infections table, and you'll see all my standard SQL templates. And if I scroll across to the right hand side, we'll see my custom templates that point to the SQL Server to Snowflake with the right syntax, and also the one we created in our previous lesson. I'm going to hold in Shift and select the 5 templates right at the end for all my columns. This may not relate correctly to the right data type. Generally, we would tick each field manually. But for our training, we can see all the tests generated for the selection. I hit the next button, create my execution lists and requirement sets. And Tosca DI now creates my tests based on the templates and the selection I made in the wizard. We have 75 tests, and they're automatically added into a parallel execution block. We can come down to our templates to view our templates. For the 5 tests selected, it has created a new template referencing our templates from the fields. And all my tests are created here using standard Tosca data-driven templates. Any changes going forward can be maintained in the datasheet. If I come back to my execution list, I can now run my tests. So now my execution is finished. As expected, we have a lot of errors. If we open up the first one, we can see it's a total row count. It's checked from the source and buffered the count from the source as 170,000 and compared it against the target. And we can see the target only has 160. This is why we set up these pre-screening vital checks and field level tests early, so we can catch these sort of issues as they occur without finding them in the report. If I scroll down, let's have a look at our min-length training template that we set up. It also failed, but we can see the SQL query ran successfully for source and target. And in this case, the expected and actual is 4 and 6.